welcome back to Science Challenge Week. I'm excited you're joining me for another day. Today's science experiment is the Tower of Liquids. Anybody can stack Legos, blocks, or boxes for that matter, but it takes a true scientist to stack liquids. And that is exactly what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be stacking liquids, aka experiment called Tower of Liquids. So what you're going to need is a mason jar, honey, light corn syrup, milk, water, oil, and some dish soap. And you may need to use a turkey baster or a syringe or something like that. Today I'm going to be using a syringe because I do not have a turkey baster. So get your supplies and come join me. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a clean mason jar and start filling up with our liquids. What we're looking for is to see if the liquids mix. If they're not mixing, be thinking about why they're not mixing. Can you figure it out? So we're going to start off with our honey and then slowly add our objects. This is not a race by any means, and we're going to do it very slowly. And the key is to add it slowly, add the same amount of each item into our mason jar, and then clean our syringe after each use so we don't contaminate our products and may inhibit our experiment from working correctly. So again, add the same amount of each item into our empty mason jar and making sure you clean out your syringe in between each use. So first off, is I'm going to add some honey. Since our honey is very sticky, I am not putting it in my syringe. So it makes it easier for going on to the next product in my experiment. And the honey, you can just let it easily flow out of the bottle. Mine's towards the end of its life cycle, so it's being a little bit slower. Alright. We're going to do the same thing with our Karo syrup. We don't have to put it in the syringe because it should flow out naturally in its out of its container. Got our syrup. Now we're going to add in some milk. So I'm going to use my syringe. I'm going to insert it. I'm going to make sure I clean it out. This is my old water container. So this is how I'm going to clean out my syringe, is just emptying it out in this container. Now I'm going to add some water. And since that was water, I don't have to clean this out again. I'm going to add my oil next. I'm going to decontaminate the oil. Now I'm going to add some dish soap. Alright, you can see in my mason jar, I have got my different things going on in my jar. As you can see, it's trying to mix and it's trying to do its business. So we're going to give it a few more minutes and see how far it does it. So I've got my jar of liquids. As you can see, I've got different layers going on. And I'm going to turn it to this other side so you can see the blue dish soap. I've got different layers, different densities going on, causing my different layers. Let's take our science experiment a step further. Go ahead, look around your house for a bouncy ball, grapes, binder clips, paper clips, screws, nails, other small object toys that could fit in your mason jar And let's take our science experiment just a step further. Grab your supplies and come join me. Did you grab your supplies? We're going to take our science experiment a step further and slowly drop each object in our mason jar to see what happens. Let's take a pause and think about or predict what's going to happen as we drop the items into our tower of liquids. Did you predict that they're all going to float to the bottom? Did you predict they're all going to float to the top? Or did you predict that depending on the object, it may vary if it's going to sink or if it's going to float? Let's test it and see if what prediction is right. Dropping in my binder clip. It looks like it is sinking to the bottom after a slow sink. I've got a grape. It's going in next. It looks like it's floating at the top. I'm going to add a paper clip. Ooh, that paper clip kind of sunk. Well, yep, it went to the bottom. Now I've got my screw. I'm going to drop my screw. Let's see what happens. It sunk to the bottom as well. So today I mentioned that anybody can stack a block of blocks or stack some Legos. But it takes a scientist to play with liquids and stack those liquids. Today we talked about density in our liquids. We noticed that if a liquid is heavier, it's going to be at the bottom because it has more density. If it doesn't have that much density, it's going to be at the top. Then we took our experiment a step further and dropped different items in our tower of liquids, and we determined if they were going to sink or if they were going to float on top. And as our science experiment predicted, depending on the weight of the object or how much density that object has, determines if it floats at the bottom or if it floated at the top. So go home and take this experiment a step further. Maybe try some different liquids to see what liquid will float to the top and what liquid will float to the bottom. Find some other odds and end objects and put it into your tower of liquids and see what happens. Be sure to comment about your experiments, post a picture of your tower of liquids, and remember, you are a scientist because you just stacked some liquids. See you next time. Bye!